You're listening to Podcast PXN,
a video game podcast
delivering player experience news.
Let's go!
What's up, guys? Welcome to Podcast PXN episode 212. I am one of your hosts, Roshan, aka Roro on Twitter, and I am joined over Discord by the Kentucky's number one Spartan. I almost said my own intro.
Right, that's what I was thinking.
By Kentucky's number one Spartan, Daniel Prindle, aka Dan is DTM.
Yes, I'm your Nintendo aficionado.
Beautiful, beautiful. Love to have it. What are your thoughts on Elephant Peach?
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic.
You and Bowser both, if you saw that little promo that went on Twitter, he's thirsty for Elephant Peach, apparently. I am also joined over Discord by I keep saying it, the wrong interest.
No, say it. No, continue with that.
Kentucky's number one.
You're goddamn right. Yeah, you're goddamn right.
Jesus
Tarkov
Christ.
Teletubby, the DMZ daddy, Gage Dempster, aka Gilbo Biggins.
Happy to be here, gentlemen. Happy to be here.
Hell yeah, we've got a fun, weird show. It's already off to a weird start today. But thank you everyone for watching us live and participating in the live chat. Just as a reminder, we are live each and every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern on YouTube at youtube.com/podcastpxn and twitch.tv/podcastpxn as well. The topic of the show today is a bit of a mishmash of a bunch of weird video game stories that happened this week. So that's why the title is The Video Games Industry is Weird. We're going to be diving into the weird side of the video game industry and how strange it's become over this last 2023 year. But before we get into that, we always like to start with the quick bites. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. And a little bit of housekeeping, sort of, not really. Of course, you may have noticed Christian is not here again this week. Of course, we miss him, but hopefully he'll be back in the weeks to come. So we miss you, Christian. He's back.
Yes.
But as well, take all the time you need. Get some rest.
That one's for you.
There we go. Our first quick bites is kind of a weird one, but a welcome one. Animal Crossing gets a Lego pack. They've been doing a lot of these with like Sonic and Mario. So here's another video game franchise to be adapted into the Lego scene. I saw somebody quote tweet this and say it's a big day for white women, and I was like, like, what are you trying to say here? Am I a white woman? I guess so. But I love Animal Crossing. I'm not a huge Lego guy, but this is still really cool. They always leave out my favorite villager in all of these collaborations, so I'm not going to get it. But if they ever add Cherry to these things, that's how you get my money. But yeah.
You know what? As our resident Nintendo aficionado, I love this. This is
Right.
You're gonna get this one. You're gonna put it next to your Halo Jeep. What do you call that thing?
Warthog. Oh my god, a Jeep! Just kidding.
Wasn't it a Jeep in the live action? Or was it the Ford pickup truck?
You're not wrong.
Gotcha.
Chevy Tahoe.
Gotcha.
That's right.
Wow.
Moving on to our next quick bite. Unity CEO John Rinsatello?
Who cares?
Exactly, that's true. Former EA CAO, he will retire from Unity effective immediately. Former IBM president James Whitehurst will serve as interim CEO. This happens to be 1 month after the announcement of the new Unity fees that infuriated the developer customers and had to be partially walked back. So yeah, good as Dan was alluding to, good riddance. We hope to never see you in the industry again.
Sayonara.
Yeah.
I think because the video game space especially has become so heavily monetized that this kind of went over our heads how ridiculous this is. This is quite literally the same as if you were to buy a physical book and every time you take it off the shelf and open it, you're now charged again. That is quite literally like a one-to-one analogy of what this is. It's kind of crazy. Like, yeah, good riddance. Sayonara. Au revoir. Bon voyage.
Let's see what company John Riccatello can fuck up next. That's going to be...
And watch the shares dip immediately as to whatever company he lands at.
I would be like, who is going to want him at this point? Like EA
I was going to say...
And Unity, it's like, when he comes up with his resume and he hands over, like, I was at EA and Unity before, and I was like, and they're like, what happened? like, well,
with
about
with
that.
the context of him like pulling his shares out, which also is like I feel like is bordering on illegal, but that's fine.
Yeah.
But like with the context of him like pulling all of his shares out, like what, a week before he announced it?
Yeah.
So what, 5 weeks ago? I have to wonder if moves like this is like he's done now. Like he's gonna, because you're right, Ro. Like I don't think you can go to another company after pulling something like this and be like, what do you bring to the table? It's like, well, I tanked the last company I was at. So to me, this reads as like he's done now. He's got his shares. He's gonna go live in Spain for the rest of his life. I think he's like in his 60s or 70s, right? So I don't think he's going anywhere, but I would be shocked if anywhere opens the doors to him because that's insane.
Good luck, Spain. Does end up.
Good luck.
The next quick bite is TLOU 2 Remastered. As discovered by Inside Gaming, Naughty Dog lead outside artist Mark Pagerillo made mention of the unannounced Last of Us 2 Remastered on his LinkedIn profile. Though it has since been updated to remove any mention of the game, Pagerillo's profile didn't provide any other details about what The Last of Us 2 Remastered might entail or when it could release. However, one has to assume that the game will be coming to PS5 at the very least, and a PC port shouldn't be ruled out either. Whoa, that'll be interesting. The Last of Us 2 Remaster, what, 3 years after it's been released? Or is it
3
more than
years.
that now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's
2020.
getting pretty close. It was kind of I didn't think anything of this majorly. Like I'm kind of like, yeah, of course it's gonna get remastered, and like again, it's one of those games released at the end of the generation. I can kind of understand. I don't think this is as egregious as some other things, but it kind of hit me all at once. I think it was actually Guy that I was talking to at work, and he was like, I think Naughty Dog's like last 3 releases have been remasters, and I was like thinking about it. I was like, yeah, I think because Lost Legacy of Thieves or whatever, like that they did after TLOU 2. I'm like, I think it's kind of crazy when the last 3 games you've released have all been remasters, and you're like a current studio that's still currently working on things. Like if it was Bethesda, I feel like that'd be a little weird, right? Like, oh, the last 3 games Bethesda has done, it has all been remasters. They haven't made anything new. I don't know. I'd love to see something new from Naughty Dog. As much as I hyped for this probably means it's coming to PC as well, which is cool. Hopefully it's not broken at launch. But I'm definitely hankering for some new stuff, Naughty Dog. I want to see some new stuff.
Although those last 3 projects were mainly outsourced, so I mean
that's also a good point, as we learned when things didn't go according to plan, and that was made it crystal clear.
Yes. What was their name? Fuck.
Iron Galaxy,
Iron
I think.
Galaxy, yeah.
Yeah. We hear you guys, and we're working closely with Iron Galaxy, who was head of the project.
Whoops.
Yeah, and then was it Nixus that made the PC port of Last of Us, or was that?
I believe so.
Okay, because I know they did. Well, maybe it
No,
wasn't because they did
Iron
Spider-Man.
Iron Galaxy was.
Oh, you're right.
Was lead on. I don't think if they differentiate. I think they might have just been lead in general on Last of Us Part 1, which came to both. I don't know.
I think Nixus did the Lost Legacy or whatever the hell that's called.
Yeah.
Collection.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of galaxies, Starfield is Bethesda's lowest rated Steam game. There are a number of potential reasons behind the game's low score. Some players and internet personalities have been extremely vocal about their distaste for Bethesda's choice to let players select their own pronouns, which have affected the game's rating to some extent. But rather than complaining that they're being bogged down with bugs, many players are complaining about awkwardly stiff NPC facial animations, an extremely limited number of romanceable companions, and far too much procedural generated content that sees immersion when players stumble across the same named NPC's corpse in the same exact spot inside the same exact cave on 3 different planets. Other complaints include the lack of any sort of codex or compendium to keep track of the lore and learn more about the history of the game's factions, the absence of any ground side mode of transport like a rover or an alien mount to make planet exploration less egregious or hard, and perhaps worst of all, downright painful interstellar dogfights. You guys have obviously both played Starfield. Do you think the low score in Steam is deserved, or are these guys kind of blowing it out of proportion a little bit?
Well, to be fair, the low. I'm gonna let Dan go first, but just for context, the low score is currently sitting at a 71%. I think it says here.
Yeah.
So I guess it's not a bad score. It's just the lowest score.
It is the lowest
games.
score, right? But just for context, this isn't like it's not like review
Mostly
bomb to the
negative or
point of being like a 4 out of 10, right? Like it's sitting at a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dan, go ahead. I want to hear what you have to say.
Which that just blows my mind in and of itself, because I'm reading Fallout 76 has a 71.76 Steam user review score, and I mean, obviously Starfield's not perfect, and you know it's got its problems, but I certainly don't think it's a worse game than Fallout 76, or at least at launch. But yeah, I agree with some of what they're saying here in terms of the issues. I do think the facial animations can be a little, you know, wonky and Bethesda-like, you know. That's just kind of their nature, I guess. I think the procedurally generated content is definitely an issue, as you see the same. I've heard people complain about seeing the same mine on like 3 different planets or whatever, and they have to explore the same exact mine every time. Completely understand that, and that seems completely fair. The bugs, though, honestly, and again, I haven't played as much as, you know, other people like Gage, for instance. He's played a lot more than me, but I don't think that I've encountered a single bug in Starfield thus far, which for a Bethesda game is way out of the ordinary. And I played hundreds of hours of Fallout 3 and Fallout 76, or not 76, Fallout New Vegas, which obviously that was Obsidian, but still. Anyways, they had many more bugs than what this game has, I feel like, or at least from my experience. So I don't know. It's definitely not a perfect game at all, but I feel like it's definitely better than what the Steam review scores are.
Eric in chat also agrees Starfield is a great game, and I think as Gage said, like it's not 77, or I'm not sure, I don't remember the score it was at, but it's in the 70s. Isn't a bad score. It's just like Dan brought up, in comparison to Fallout 76, which was a pretty bad game, it being lower than that is kind of weird.
That's wild to me.
Yeah. And it could be because of the review bombing with the weird pronoun thing and people just being upset over nothing. But as Dan did bring up, there are some valid criticisms, but it being worse than Fallout 76 just is weird. It is very strange.
Yeah, that's wild. But it's one of those things where it's like, I'm actually shocked that Fallout 76 is that high. I don't know. I would, like, again, I think Starfield being in the 70s, like low 70s, I think is maybe a bit much. I would put it maybe like in the mid to high 70s. I feel like is totally fair. It's wild to me that Fallout 76 is that high. This is the first I'm seeing of that. Like, that's kind of crazy to me that it's even up that high. Fallout 76 felt like a game slapped together in like a couple of weeks. It did not feel like a MMO at all, which is what it was supposed to be. But yeah, no, I kind of agree with what Dan's saying, where it's like, yeah, obviously the pronouns is not an issue, and I don't even know if it's like, I don't know. I saw one big video.
It was one guy, yeah. But
I was gonna say, like, we like. This is the problem that people don't realize, is that the farming for clicks and engagement, it works both ways. So like, people will also try and, like, even people that are trying to say things that you agree with, they'll also hype up stuff to the point where I don't think it's exactly to the level that it's supposed to be. But there are, as I've played this game more. Because I think when I first talked about it, I said like, oh, I'm actually not really seeing a whole lot of repetitive environments. As I put more hours into it, I've definitely been one of those people that has come across a lot of the same, like, landing on these little outposts on different planets and like, oh, what am I going to find here? It's like, oh, I recognize this. Actually, the textures are different and it's different buildings, but this is the exact same layout. I've run into that quite a few times now, and that's a little bit disappointing, especially in a game that's supposed to be as expansive as Starfield is. I disagree with the dogfighting. I think for Bethesda's first attempt at adding vehicles into a game, because this is the first, as far as I'm aware, this is the first time vehicles, pilotable, like drivable vehicles, has been in any game.
Yep.
Aside from like taking a short trip on a vertibird and a pre-scripted sort of thing in Fallout.
Right.
Like this handles pretty well. This feels pretty good to me. Like, no, it's not Ace Combat, but like it's like it's a good first attempt. But I think there are a lot of totally valid criticism of this game coming down to just that it feels it's the best Bethesda game, but it still feels a cut below other big budget AAA RPGs like obviously the big one to compare it to is Cyberpunk, right? But
You mean they didn't make Microsoft Space Simulator in this game? What the
what
hell?
the hell?
I mean, come on.
What was the whole point of buying them if you weren't going to do that?
One thing that's interesting, since this article was written, Starfield has gone down to 69.92 now. So that's what makes me feel like that it's kind of, I don't know. Personally, it feels like a little bit like people just
targeting it or something.
Yeah, for maybe nefarious reasons. But I don't know. Like Gage said, there are fair criticisms. But yeah,
it could also just be a sign of the times. Like it's one of those things where it's like it might not be fair to specifically this game, but like video games are getting expensive. People aren't making as much money. Like I could see people maybe being harsher in their reviews, but maybe not necessarily being nefarious of just like, man, I just paid $90 for this game. And one thing I gotta point out that I agree with 100% is that this is the most bug-free Bethesda game by a large margin. Like I've run into some bugs, but they're bugs that like don't really affect the gameplay. Like I noticed if you're sprinting and you jump, your character starts like staring over their left shoulder, and I notice I get that like consistently all the time.
Oh, you play in third person.
But it's small things. Right, I play in third person, exactly.
Got it.
Correct way to play.
So like I've seen small bugs like that don't affect anything, and like if you just stop sprinting, then your character looks ahead again, and it's like, all right, whatever. But I do wonder if there are some people that are like, again, people that aren't in the space and don't really look at things as heavily, that have just been waiting for the next Bethesda game. They buy it and they're like, oh, this is good, but this really feels pretty similar to the stuff that came out 10 years ago. I don't know.
Hell yeah. Moving on to our next story, one that we could, I guess, may have predicted, but at least getting some confirmation is nice. Activision is telling us that expect some Game Pass games from them. It was always assumed that Activision Blizzard's title would make it to Game Pass subscription following the success of the acquisition by Microsoft. But this is one step closer to having complete confirmation of the suite of games being made available. On Twitter, they made a post and it reads, "It's awesome to see anticipation building for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. As we continue to work toward regulatory approval of the Microsoft deal, we've been getting some questions whether our upcoming and recently launched games will be available on Game Pass. While we do not have plans to put Modern Warfare 3 or Diablo 4 into Game Pass this year, once the deal closes, we expect to start working with Xbox to bring our titles to more players around the world, and we anticipate that we would begin adding games into Game Pass sometime in the course of next year. So get ready for some Activision games on Blizzard or on Game Pass, which would be definitely a cool addition to the service for sure."
Be interesting to see if Call of Duty 2024 comes to Game Pass.
So I have a theory about this because Activision put out the statement, and then James Corden of Windows Central actually insinuated that he's heard something that contradicts that statement. And I think the only part that is, I think personally that the most current Call of Duty will not come to Game Pass. I think there's going to be a 1-year buffer because, as we've seen in leaked emails and as we've guessed just from a business standpoint, they need to make money off of this deal. So I think it's going to be one of those things where Modern Warfare 3 is not on Game Pass. Everything up until Modern Warfare 2 is. And then as soon as Black Ops 2024 comes out, Modern Warfare 3 comes on Game Pass. I think that's the way that makes sense. However, him contradicting this statement, like we know all the old Activision games are going to be on there. The only thing in there to contradict is that I think Diablo 4 will be on Game Pass. I think because of Diablo 3 getting like 25, 26 seasons worth of content. It's almost essentially a free-to-play live service game at that point because you just pay the one fee to get in. So I think that's what maybe James Corden was referring to. If I were to be a betting man, that Diablo 4 will probably be made on Game Pass, and because they're going to be doing seasons for the foreseeable future. So I think Xbox is probably looking at that going, you know what, we can take the small hit of the one-time payment to get people in the door of Diablo, and then every time there's a new season, they'll be inclined to purchase the Battle Pass. But
The other thing is like the core Diablo player already owns Diablo, so like you're just getting it out to more people by putting it on Game Pass. So
Absolutely.
yeah. And also, just for clarification, there is that caveat that Modern Warfare 3 can't come to Game Pass because of Sony's deal. So
Right.
this year it cannot. The 2024 game, I think it'll be interesting to see if they decide to put it in Game Pass or not at launch.
Do you think they do that day one, though?
I think it's possible because here's the thing. They're still getting... PlayStation is the biggest platform right now for Call of Duty. They're still getting all of that money, and it's still on PC.
True. Those are all upfront sales.
Yeah, and it could just drive up Game Pass sales if they say that Call of Duty's in Game Pass. I don't know. It'll be interesting.
So
Yeah, that's a good point.
If it comes to Game Pass, is it only console Game Pass? Is that what we're seeing?
Oh,
And
good point.
See, that's where we get into the
Good point.
weeds, where it's like if that's why I'm thinking they might
Yeah.
not, is only for the fact. And I still think it's possible. I think you're totally right, Dan. But in my mind, it's like if they pull that Game Pass pin, they got to pull that pin, like
Yeah,
because it's gonna be an
That's a good
optics
point.
shitstorm if they say
Yeah.
console only. Sorry, PC players.
which means they have to make another version of the game because Game Pass
Right.
has to work in the Windows Store. So they have to have a Windows Store version, which they do not currently.
Yeah.
I hope they do it. That would be cool.
Yeah.
From the last Starfield story, Kirik has asking you guys if you have gotten to Andreja. Have you gotten
Andreja?
Andreja in your group yet? While she's been following me around with an invisible head, I can see
Oh,
the
wow.
rest of her body, but she's still headless.
What? That's
Kirik,
terrifying.
let me tell you, you want to know about Andreja? I know all about Andreja. All right, Kirik,
Well,
Oh.
Andreja.
man to man, we know about Andreja.
I
I'm gonna
haven't.
see him gauge as Andreja has a head though.
She does, but I mean, like when he says that the head's gone and all he can see is the body, like I mean,
Is that all? That's all that matters.
is that a bug or is that a feature? Kirik.
My goodness.
Wow. Jeez. Andrea,
saying.
I don't think I've made it
Andrea.
to her yet, so I'm gonna have to.
That's
step it up.
crazy. How many hours in are you?
I honestly don't remember because I've been playing 2 new games now, and my backlog is fucking stupid. So
That's crazy. I don't know for sure because I've only played through the story once. I started New Game Plus, but I fell off shortly after. I'm pretty sure her arrival is tied to the story. I don't think she's a missable NPC. So, but I can't quite remember when she shows up. But that's kind of wild. Dan, you got to get in there, buddy.
I know
You
I've got to
gotta
get
be
in all these
Andreja.
games that I haven't beaten. There's a million of them.
There's a lot. I know. I still got to beat BioShock, which I thoroughly enjoyed and have not completed yet.
Would you kindly beat
Would you
BioShock?
kindly? I know. I got to just for the story. Somebody says that line, I get interested again, but like I don't know. Backlog.
His
Man.
voice is so good. I love that.
You know what else hasn't been completed? X Defiant. An update on X Defiant via Twitter. A message from the X Defiant team. They have delayed the game again, but without a new release date. They put out a statement on what is probably the worst background to put words on. I had to enlarge it to read this. They said the team will continue working to address these issues and testing them to make sure we deliver on our on our goal of being a best-in-class arcade shooter. We will share more information about preseason and testing as it comes. Thanks again for your support. We're working hard to make something really special, and we couldn't do it without you, X Defiant development team. Yeah, they said the public tests, the tests went well. People liked some things, people didn't like some things, and from the feedback, they decided to push back the beginning of the season, which is good. That's good, but man, this is happening often for this game. So, yeah.
No bueno. No bueno.
No bueno.
No bueno.
Something that may be bueno is the live-action Cyberpunk TV show is in the works. The game studio is partnering with Anonymous Content, a media company known for its work on Mr. Robot and The Revenant, as well as Spotlight, which is one of my favorite movies from them, and True Detective. The project will be produced by Garrett Kimball, David Levine and Ryan Swartz, Bard Doris, and Charlie Scully, who will develop the project, quote, in close collaboration with the Cyberpunk 2077 creative team. That said, this is still in the early stages. There's still no screenwriter attached to the project. There are still many questions in the air about the project. They've yet to come and perhaps decide whether it will be a film or a series, so I'm mistaken about it being a TV show. And while the project is still, quote, set in the world of Cyberpunk 2077, there are a lot of approaches they could take. No actors have been attached to the project either, so whether Keanu Reeves or Idris Elba will show up is still up in the air. I really like Cyberpunk 2077, the video game. I really like Cyberpunk Edge Runners, the anime. So I'm down for some more in-world stories from Cyberpunk for sure.
Now,
If they get Keanu, that would be a plus.
Ro, would you like this to? Would you be on the side of wanting this to tie into the games and such, or do you want it to kind of stand up by itself?
I would like it to stand by itself, actually.
Okay.
I think that would be cool. I really liked Edge Runners and how it was its own thing, and then they added some like nice little Easter eggs in the game, but you didn't need to play one or watch one to enjoy it.
True.
So I think it's cool when they could just separate it like that and have those little Easter eggs if they want to do. That's it. We made it through the quick bites. That means we're moving in to PXN news of the week and the PS.
Wait.
Oh wait, yes, there's two more.
We added two.
I'm sorry. I was looking at my notes instead of the docs. My bad. We have two more quick bites. I apologize. Dan, I think you're going to have to take it from here with this one. But Halo Infinite Season 5, new season is beginning. See, I need all the help I can get with Halo.
Halo 5 is back and better than ever. No,
Halo 5 Season Infinite is here.
Season 5 launches next week. We got a bunch of new information on it. Very excited. This seems to be yet again continuing on the Season 4 hype. Season 4 was really good. This seems to be the same. They are adding new game mode, which is Extraction, which is a Halo 4 game mode that is probably one of the only things that people actually liked from Halo 4's multiplayer, or at least, from my group, not my group. I don't know how else to describe it. The people that I follow. I don't know.
Right.
I'm not describing that well. We're also getting 2 new arena maps, which the one arena map looks fucking cool as hell. It takes place in like a cave, and there's like needle like crystals that are growing out of the cave, and if you shoot the needle crystals, it shoots needles out in the air, and if there's an enemy nearby, it will track to the enemy like the needler does. Oh, so cool. And the colors in there, I really like the colors.
Yes.
Seeing all the purples popping, yeah, really good. We're also getting flood-themed customization on the armor, which looks sick. Fucking disgustingly sick. We are getting so the battle pass, they're kind of reformulating the battle pass and the event system. So the events are transitioning to I forget what they called it.
Operations, I think.
Operations, yes, thank you. So they're changing the way it works a little bit. But essentially you get 4 to 6 weeks for an operation now, and you have that much time to complete the operation. And then at the end of that operation, another operation starts. You get another free event pass for that operation. And essentially you can go back and buy access to those event passes if you choose to in the future. Wait, I hope I'm describing that correctly.
Yeah, so
yes,
they're free events if you're somebody who's currently playing the game. I actually think this is a really fair monetization system. A way to do it is that because they're not changing anything, they're not taking anything away from anybody. Yeah. These free events are now banked and vaulted after the fact. And if you're somebody who decides to buy the game a year from now and you weren't there to get, say, the Christmas event, the winter event, you have an option to now buy it almost as like a mini battle pass and just sort of replay it in the future. Is my understanding from how the operations should be working in the future, which I think is a totally cool change. Because if you're somebody who's current and you're in the ecosystem and you're a fan of the game, well, you get to get it for free and play it as it comes out. And if you're somebody who joins later and you have the money and you want to go back and access something that as it currently stands in most games that you wouldn't be able to access anymore, well, now the option's there. Pricing will be interesting though, obviously, to see if that's fair or whatnot. But
yeah. So yes, we're getting all of that. You can now have all helmets are all multi-core, so you can essentially equip any helmet across all the cores and any core you want. So that's very nice. I think it's the first step.
Slowly but surely, yep.
Yeah. First step to get full cross-core, hopefully, in the future. Which road to explain that just means like crossing like these different designs that were kind of marketed to be separate from one another. You have all these different armor designs. It's basically trying to combine them all so that people can mix and match how they want.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
that's good.
We're also getting a Forge AI toolkit, which means we can put AI in Forge now. So the Banished, the Brutes, Elites, Grunts, etc. You'll be able to
make some fun little campaign mini maps and stuff like that. This is the type of stuff I love to see.
Very
it reminds me of like in its heyday, Far Cry had really great map editors like that, where you could add in AI and you could do some light scripting and make these little campaign missions and stuff like that. So this is really cool. That's the type of stuff I really like to see.
And on the back of that, we are now getting match XP in custom games. So if someone does create something cool like that for a single player experience or whatever, against AI in custom games, you can now earn experience for that towards your battle pass. And also they announced Firefight King of the Hill, which will be coming to matchmaking sometime during season 5. And essentially it seems like it's going to be like a mini firefight version. It's not going to be like full-fledged firefight. It seems to be a bit smaller scale than that because they're going to probably use the maps that are already existing.
Right.
But it's a cool first step to try to get some firefight action into the game as well. They announced a new hero rank unlock, which is the Infinite Mark 6 armor kit, which is basically Master Chief's armor. So that's the new reward for the top, the top unlock for the career rank, which is hero.
Which is cool,
yeah,
because that actually, first of all, so this is two things. I like that it's a kit. You can't and I know this goes against a lot what I say, but I like that it's a kit that you can't customize because it's literally like you said, it's Master Chief's armor. And then the fact that you have to get at hero rank, which somebody like me who's a diehard Halo fan, I won't get to. This is exactly the type of unlock that I like. If you're not going to see a million Master Chiefs running around, because the amount of playtime it takes to get to hero rank is insane. So the people you see wearing Master Chief's armor, the only way to get it is to actually enjoy the game and put hundreds and hundreds of hours into it. So like when you finally get there and you earn your way to hero rank, I'm gonna be like, right on, that's awesome. That's cool. If they had released this battle pass and Master Chief's armor was like rank 100, that would be awful because you just see a million Master Chiefs running around.
Yeah.
This is awesome. I love this.
Very cool. Very cool.
This is like old school unlocks, so you actually have to put in the hours to get the cool thing. I like this.
Yeah. And shout out to 343 for adding that, because a lot of people were like, "Oh, we're just getting nameplates for hero rank," and
which is valid criticism because until right now, that is exactly that's all it was.
Yes, but I think pretty much everyone knew that wasn't going to be it. I think they were just buying themselves time because they knew that only a very, very small amount of people would be able to hit hero rank by the next season, which I've only seen a couple of people and they're streamers that play literally nonstop.
Right.
I think it was more just them buying time to, have enough time to do that. But also, last shout out, Infinite Forges. He does Forge maps for the game a lot. He's a community member, but he also works at Gearbox as a level artist. He finished the Headlong remake from Halo 2 for Infinite, and my god, it looks fucking beautiful, and it is coming this weekend. He is releasing it this weekend, which means coming soon to Squad Battles, Gage.
It's very exciting. This looks like a Last of Us inspired Headlong, which is like both those two things put together. It's like, yeah, that sounds great. It looks good.
Yeah. And back to you, Ro.
You know what else is exciting? Steam is going on right now between October 9th and October 16th, as Gage brought up before we started the show, where they got some great indies, some bigger games too, but what's highlighted here, I think, are indies because there's just so many of them that you get to try out before they come, and this is a great opportunity for you to wishlist them, which really helps them out. There are a couple of games that are on my radar that I hope are getting Steam Next Fest demos. I haven't gone to check yet, but if you guys are interested in finding some new indies, Steam Next Fest, play some.
It's all demos. A lot of them are quick. It's the perfect time to not feel guilty about it, where it's like you go in, like I usually go in, download 5 or 6 demos, play them all for like an hour, 2 hours each. Like you said, it gives the developers some playtime. Like usually half of the games I try, I'm like, cool, I'm gonna add that to the wish list. It's just it's Steam. I think Steam Next Fest is one of the best initiatives that they've done, and I think it's great that to see all these different developers all kind of agreed in it. You know what? Let's make sure we have a demo out for this time. Just a good time, good vibes. Check out indie games like Rose said. Wish listing helps a lot more than people think. So get out there, try some games. Good time.
Definitely. I wish more events like Game Award. Well, Game Awards, I guess, is starting to do that in partnership with Steam. But I wish more like events like Game Awards and Opening Night Live and all that stuff would have like demos for the games that they're showing off. Obviously, they can't do that for everything because they announce a lot of games there. But
Right.
that would be really cool if they did something like this. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Moving on to our PXN news of the week, we've got the PlayStation 5 Slim has finally been revealed. Rumored for quite some time, but now we've got official look, the price, and all that. So we're going to go through that right now. Nearly 3 years after the initial launch of the PlayStation 5, Sony has revealed a slimmer redesign. Both the disk drive model and the digital model are updated, but these two models aren't as different as they used to be. You will now be able to purchase a disk drive separately, allowing you to upgrade a digital model to a disk-compatible version. Both versions will be available this November and will eventually replace the current model of the PS5 altogether. Both the new PS5 has been reduced in volume by more than 30% and weight by 18% and 24% compared to the previous models, the PlayStation blog reads. It also mentions that the new covers will have different textures, which isn't immediately clear from the pictures. Quote, there are 4 different separate cover panels, with the top portion is a glossy look, while the bottom remains in matte. This raises questions about the compatibility of the console shells Sony currently sells that allows you to change the look of your console, but this question is not addressed in the announcement. The PlayStation 5 Slim with the disc drive will cost $499 USD. The PS5 digital Slim retails at $449 USD, $50 increase from the original digital edition. You can, if you do buy the newer digital version and decide to upgrade it to the disc version later, the drive will cost you $80 USD and $119. Oh God, can you imagine? $119.99 in Europe and $99 in the UK. And yeah, the total cost of the digital console and disc drive is a little more expensive than buying disc drive version outright. The console will include a new horizontal stand that can set the console on its side, and that stand will be $30 USD. But yeah, that's a lot of numbers, a lot of prices. What do you guys first looks at the PS5? What do you think of the new design compared to the original? I'm seeing a lot of shaking heads.
It's like it's a very underwhelming redesign, and it's one of those things where
redesign.
That's exactly it, right? Like they're saying like the new slim PlayStation. I'm like, it's slimmer. Like I don't know that it's a slim version. Like this isn't. And like I
lighter, but
it is like that's the thing. Like it's X% lighter, X% shorter, X% thinner, but it's not I wouldn't call this a slim. Like this is a very similar design. It seems like they've just kind of this seems like the result of like maybe them doing some internal space saving and being like, okay, we can kind of lower the dimensions this much because we've rerouted this motherboard this way, and we've changed how it looks on the inside this way. The one thing I thought I had this wrong, but I've reread it so many times from so many different articles. It's kind of insane, and I think a lot of this is going over the heads of a lot of people. But every time you see a PlayStation, the way I have mine sitting, I don't have any stands attached to it. It's just sitting how I think it's supposed to be. But like you see the console standing upright all the time, and just to make it clear to people, to stand your console upright, that is the additional cost.
Yeah.
The stand that's now included is just to lay it on its side, which you never see, and the reason you never see it is because PlayStation knows it looks ugly. So to have it as it is shown and as it is advertised and as I think it should stand, that is now an extra charge as well. That's kind of crazy to me. Like this, I don't know. It feels weird because like we're all roughly the same age, except obviously for Dan, who's in his advanced stage of life. But like redesigns used to be kind of cool, right? Like it's that used to be something where it's like the PS, even the PlayStation 4 to the PlayStation 4 Slim was like, ooh, look at this. The Xbox 360 era when the Slim Xboxes came out. I remember those coming out and people being like, damn, these look really cool. This is, I don't know. This is so underwhelming, and the fact that it's more expensive with less hardware, with no hardware upgrades really to speak of. It's, I don't know. It's kind of depressing to me personally. I don't know. How do you feel, Dan?
Well, before I go into that, I just want to shout out Polar Knights in the chat saying, "I love the show. It's like the perfect evolution of beard growth." That's not the first time I've heard that comment.
I was going to say, I swear somebody said that.
Hilarious. And Guy in the chat also says, apparently they have the same spec, but also the digital is $50 more than the current PS5 digital, which is correct also. And
yep.
I think that's important. But before I get to that, going back to the like physical design of it, why the fuck do you put in the press release that there's a weight reduction of 18% and 24%? Am I walking around carrying around my PlayStation 5? Yeah. Like,
right.
Man, this thing's so much lighter. I'm so much happier. Like, who the fuck cares how much lighter it is? I don't care.
I think that's a better point than somebody might realize, because if you think about the steps and the process that somebody will go through for like installing a sound bar, mounting a TV, like these things, gamers, I really believe these things could be double the weight. And as long as the performance was there, gamers would be fine with it, because you set it up somewhere and you leave it, right? This is a home entertainment system. Yeah. So you're absolutely right. I wasn't even thinking about that, but now it's looking at it, it's like, it's even more ridiculous. It seems like they're trying to justify it. Like, ooh, the new lightweight PS5. Why does that matter? You're totally right. You're totally right.
And I fucking hate that why did you do glossy and matte? Like, that fucking choose one. Yeah.
Is it so? The black is gloss, right? And the white is matte.
I think the face plates are different.
Yeah.
Like the top one is a different material than the bottom one.
Yes,
oh,
correct.
You can't see it in the picture as the article said, but I think the article did say that.
Yeah.
No, you're totally right. I'm looking at it now. You're totally right. That is
glossy
weird.
And the bottom's matte.
This is even though I'm a fan of two-tone, this is the same problem I have with the leaked Xbox controller, where I'm like, why does it look like you're going half gloss and half not? Like, this is two-tone done wrong. Like, this is weird. I don't understand this. Also, I still stand by the fact that if you now in the year of our Lord 2023, if you are having any sort of equipment that is to be touched and there is anything black on it, it's time to move past the piano black. This goes for vehicles, for cars, right? With all your switches and your gear. Nobody wants to have piano black anymore. We don't want fingerprints. And it goes with the PlayStation 5 too. If you're going to have black on it, that's fine. Like, they understand this for the controller. The controller is, all of its black is matte. But for the console, why is the black gloss? Nobody wants that anymore. This is ridiculous. Come on, Sony.
Like, more expensive or something?
I don't, like, in the grand scheme of things, I can't imagine it's anywhere near more than a rounding error of an increased price. You know what I mean? Like, I don't.
No. I can't imagine especially with gaming systems, like you're saying, I can't imagine what situation we would prefer gloss over matte. It just gets fingerprinty after a while, and it just my studio over there is glossy and looks okay, but I would have liked it if it was matte.
Right.
You know what this console screams to me? It
What's that?
screams to me the Xbox 360e design. That design,
I'm gonna have to look that up. Yeah.
it only very slightly changed from the S design, which was the slim, and the E was fucking glossy and matte.
Oh, yeah.
And
I
they
remember.
there was no feature improvements, nothing. It was just a cost savings thing by Microsoft. And I'm just like, why did we make this console? It's not really much different than the last console. And and again, like the price, like $50 more for the digital edition, and it's the exact same components. I don't understand why it's $50 more. I guess because the inflation went up and they increased the price in other countries, but I think that is a huge loss for them to increase it by $50 because now you're even closer to the competition. But yeah, and also when you add the fucking disk drive, the disk drive, if you decide to get that down the line, you're paying, $30 more than just buying the physical disc version. Anyways, I don't know.
I think you nailed it right there on the head, and maybe this is why I had an adverse reaction to this PlayStation Slim. But I think you're right. This seems to be a cost savings move for the company, which is like the opposite of like, what's the reason to get a PlayStation Slim? Well, there isn't one for us. We know why they're making it. It's for them. Like, this does seem like one of those things where it's like they can separate, they can compartmentalize their manufacturing by having this disk drive just be able to be attached to anything. They can make it separately and sell it as an add-on. This absolutely looks like, and like we were saying with space savings and stuff like that, this seems like them just like, okay, we can optimize the manufacturing of this for us, which makes it cheaper for us, and then we'll just make it more expensive for them. And it seems like that looks like what the PlayStation 5 Slim is. It's just better for PlayStation and worse for us.
And again, the digital edition, that's so disappointing, the price increase as well, because the whole point of it was you're getting these cost savings by buying the digital edition, because they're knowing that you're going to buy the games digitally. You're not going to trade them in, and someone's going to buy a used game as opposed to a new game. Like, they should be passing those savings on to the consumer, and they're not doing that. And like, even if they were to, like, I would be totally cool if they made, kept the $399 price point for the digital edition and then had the disc drive $130, the same exact price if you add them together. But if you're choosing not to go to that next route of getting the disc version by adding the add-on, you're paying the same that you paid before. I just don't understand why we would be increasing that price. That
capitalism.
Price. Yeah, true.
Capitalism is why. Because the way you just described that is totally a fair and honorable way to do things. Okay, you're going to commit to getting the digital console of our ecosystem. We absolutely, like you said, we know that means that you can't return your games. We know that means you're going to spend more money, and that money is going to stay in our ecosystem. So let's make an even trade. How you just described it is ethically, that checks out. That's how it should work, but it's not what we're getting. And then it's like, well, why is that? Okay, money. That's why.
Somebody at the table at Sony, when they were discussing pricing, definitely brought that up and got fired.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was like that meme of the boardroom where he gets thrown out the window, right? That's exactly what happened.
Oh man.
Josh says, "Hey Dan, hey Josh," and also Guy says, "I'm a huge PlayStation fan, but man, lately the decision making has been poor, especially the PlayStation Portal. Sony should have given PSP another chance."
Oh hell yeah,
Josh, you are totally right.
No,
and I think
Guy. That was Guy.
Was that Guy?
Yeah,
oh,
Josh
sorry, Josh just said hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is Jim Ryan's PlayStation. This is what it looks like, and I think maybe behind the scenes it's not going well, and that's why we're seeing the shakeup that we're seeing so quickly.
Yeah. Fingers crossed, whoever's next gives the PSP another chance.
Right?
That would be great. Oh my god. But my last question to you guys is: will Xbox make adjustments to their all digital version of their Series X that's coming, with PlayStation having attachable disc drive, releasing an all digital version without that option? Is that still a good idea? Does it even matter with how much we're kind of dogging on PlayStation 5 right now? Yeah. Is it still a good look for them, or do you think they're going to make some change?
Here's what's interesting. As much as I don't think the new Series X design is for me, I don't think what Microsoft is doing is I don't know. I guess I should think about this a minute.
Because
Let me jump in.
No,
While,
the disk
while-
drive.
oh, go
You're
ahead.
right. Yes. Yeah, the disk drive being taken out is a big thing. I agree with that 100%. Yeah. I did honestly, I hadn't really thought about it until you just asked us this question, Ro. But yeah, the disk drive being taken out is completely a loss. But like the other components of the Series X, like the Wi-Fi card, the Bluetooth being added, there's other things that they're adding to the console, and it's staying the same price. But yes, they removed the disk drive, which I think does, in my opinion, significantly impact. How do you not like lower that to $449 and match their fucking digital edition? Like,
Right. Well, and like you were saying, that's just the business aspect, but like you said, the ethical aspect as well. If you take that same logic, then
yeah,
that's kind of a huge L for Xbox to remove that option from people without the ability to. I think, Ro, that Xbox might offer a similar thing with like an expandable disk drive or something like that. I just think that Xbox, looking at their past, they're a lot less concerned with making something that's like design cohesive. I really think that if they were to do something like that for the Xbox Series X, it would be a completely standalone, connected by USB-C wire, like something that sits beside it. Like just looking at Xbox's past, and when they do accessories, stuff like the Kinect, they never try to make it something that slots into the machine. They've never had that design sort of angle that Sony does. So I think it's possible that they do, that we didn't see it in the leaks, but they do have some sort of disk drive, but it's going to look like something that you buy for like a laptop, where it's a little box that sits next to it, and exactly, it plugs in by one wire. I don't think they're concerned with the design. I mean, look at the Xbox One when that launched. That was ridiculous.
I just thought of something.
Oh,
Microsoft, you can take this idea. So the design of the Series X is very square, right? So like, what if they found a way where they could attach on the top of it?
Yes, I was thinking this.
You were? Oh, hell yes! Attach on the top of it. Yeah.
And then, for the new X, you mean like
for like just a disk drive, like because the top of the new. Oh, the top of the new one's different.
Circular. But okay, that's what I thought you were doing it though, right? But if it's CD shaped, right? True. As long as it's the same size as a CD. Now the other variable though is that where's the vents? Where are the vents coming out? Because you don't want to.
That is.
So that's why I was confused when you're talking about this one. I'm like, well, Dan, you're gonna either melt your CDs or you're gonna really affect the performance of your console.
That's why I was thinking like maybe they find a way to like have it elevated slightly where you could still have the air coming out, but then
on a little table.
I know it was a concept image, but if that was anything close to a final for the new X, the cylindrical one, I didn't see vents, so maybe like the vents come out the back, in which case they could do something. They could put something on top, maybe. I don't know. But if I were a betting man, it's going to be something that does not try to match the design. It's going to be a little box that goes beside it. But that would be cool if the size of this new X is bigger than a CD, they could have some sort of circular little flip up sort of CD thing. That would be kind of cool.
I just pulled it up. The vents are on the top on the new one as well.
Well, there goes that.
Never mind.
I hope you don't want to play this game more than like a couple times, because it's going to get warped.
Yeah.
Moving into our fantasy draft check-in, it is going to be a busy week next week. I don't know if any games came out since our last check-in.
I don't think so.
I don't think so, but next week is going to be a busy week for myself and Christian. Next week I have oh my god, I have 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 games coming out next week, and Christian has Super Mario Wonder. Whoa. Super Mario Wonder has gotten its first batch of previews, and they're looking pretty good. So Christian is probably looking at some good points as well. IGN writes the blueprints for a 2D Mario game are almost as old as the industry, yet Nintendo constantly finds a new way to mix things up, adding fresh but never out of place ideas to keep fans returning. Hell yeah, I'm down for some more Mario. And Sonic Superstars is also coming out next week, so the good old feud continues with Mario versus Sonic, which has kind of been dead for years. Mario definitely won that battle, but I still love Sonic, and the first review for Sonic was pretty positive. Sonic Superstars got a 32 out of 40 from Famitsu, which is a Japanese gaming outlet, which kind of equates to an 8 out of 10. Yeah, been good for Sonic.
Oh yeah, Sonic.
Get
He's
him.
in his comeback moment right now.
Yes, I love it. Before we get to the topic of the show, Jen, what you got for me?
Yes. What do I have for you? I have Forza Motorsport. I beat the tutorial, and then I played maybe a couple more career missions after that. I don't know, whatever the hell they call them. Very much enjoying it. Very much, and like I've said before, I'm a bigger fan of the arcadey, open world Forza Horizon games, but very much the gameplay feels really good. I feel like the controller, like haptics, feel even better in this one, like, which I don't know how that's possible because it always felt good. But like I felt like as I was playing through the tutorial, I was getting better and better. Like, and I play so dirty in these games too. Like I fucking take all the corners that I can.
Just like body
and
checking people into the corners. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like
That's
a missile.
the key. You know what? That's the key. You turn all of the difficulty stuff like pretty high, except for damage. You leave damage alone and have no cosmetic damage only, no physical damage.
Right.
So then you can just fucking have at it, And I'm not.
Now you say the right way to play. This is the right way for you to make money in these games. This is not the right way to play. This is not how to drive race cars. I know what you're talking about. I do the same thing, but flying into the people in front of you like a missile because they're slowing down for the corner and you're not is not how you play race cars.
All right. To be fair, I'm not going like full menace mode. I'm not going fucking 90 miles an hour into people. I'm going. I'm tapping them to get through, but like normally in Forza, even if you just tap people, you're fucking. It says your front left tire is fucking out of alignment, and you're pulling left the whole match, and I'm like, fuck, no, I don't like this. So yeah, having a lot of fun with it, and that game is very pretty, very enjoying it, very good. Also, I've already put in about 8-ish, maybe 7-ish hours of Assassin's Creed Mirage, and I am enjoying it quite a bit, actually. It very much feels like a return to the old games, for good and bad. So, take that as you will. If you didn't enjoy Assassin's Creed 1 through fucking Revelations, I guess, or, even into Syndicate and Unity, you didn't enjoy that style of Assassin's Creed, then you probably wouldn't enjoy this game because it's very, it takes many of those same elements. But I am very much enjoying this game. I'm very fascinated by Bassium as a character. I think that, in my opinion, he's probably one of my favorite characters of the last several Assassin's Creed games, and I'm a huge fan, as people can see or not see, I guess, on the live stream. My Assassin's Creed wall. But yes, I love Bassium as a character, and a lot of the stuff, like I told Gage this, I never got a chance to finish Assassin's Creed Valhalla, unfortunately. That game's like a fucking 80-hour game just to play the main story, which is insane. So I went ahead and before I played Mirage, I looked up like the last bit that I never finished because I think I was like 40 hours in or something to that game. And I fucking love the ending of that game. Like the story is so cool, I think, and how it relates to Mirage and Bassium specifically as a character, I think is so cool. And I'm very excited to see where they go with this in Mirage and like into the future, without spoiling anything. But yeah, the story of Assassin's Creed is what I've always been fascinated by. I know a lot of people aren't that fascinated by the modern day stuff, but I fucking love that shit, and they've been ramping up the modern day stuff more recently, and it definitely seems like they're leading to something with that, and I hope they're leading to something with that, which I'm very, very intrigued by this story. And also to give a shout out to the devs that worked on this team, because I feel like they did a really good representation of this map, this world, this environment, but also like the fact that you can play this entire game in Arabic, there's voice actors that speak natively in Arabic, and I've seen a lot of people online that speak Arabic and say like this is a really good translation. Like this isn't like just a copy paste translation. This is like someone took care and time to make sure that this was right, and I think that's really cool to kind of lend itself to the authenticity of that region. I think that's very cool. So yeah, enjoying it.
Paige, I've got nothing. What about you?
You got nothing?
I got nothing. Next week, I swear to God, if I haven't played Superstars by this time next week, I think Superstars comes out before Superstars comes out on the 17th. I should have played it by this time next week.
All right, we're gonna hold you to that. It's actually been a slow week for me, so I'm just gonna shout out just a few games I've messed around with in Steam Next Fest. There's this it's very, very quick demo. My demo ended and my playtime is sitting at 18 minutes. So very, very quick demo. There's a game called The Last Exterminator, which is a 90s style shooter, and it's very, very cool, and I like it. It's got really fun voice acting. There's not a lot there. It's just very small taste, but this small little spoonful was very good. It's kind of taking that 90s style aesthetic of like the really early Max Payne games or something like James Bond or Perfect Dark, but kind of putting it in an open world kind of non-linear little map that you play through, and this kind of combination of old school visuals with new school gameplay mechanics ish is a very fun thing for me. There's also a game that if you're into the survival genre, a lot of people have been keeping their eye on, Enshrouded as a demo. This is a game that kind of looks like it blends something like Valheim and Ark Survival Evolved. So it's kind of like a survival game, craft, build your base brick by brick, but there's also RPG and adventure elements to it as well. So very cool. I haven't played much of that, only about a half hour or so, but that's looking good as well. So highly recommend both of those games if those sound like they're in your wheelhouse for genre. And then I will not spend too much time on it because I don't want to harsh Dan's mellow. I have put about like 6 or 7 hours into Mirage, and I am on the opposite spectrum. I am kind of disappointed with the game, and I will say to focus on what I agree with on Dan, the way that the culture and the locales are represented, and even how they're just working. That's one thing that Assassin's Creed, and this is where it goes to all the credit goes to the developers, because the higher ups have nothing to do with this. But it's one of the reasons why I love Assassin's Creed 3 so much is they do a really good job of incorporating the culture of whatever the main character is a part of into the story and into making it something that it's not just, it doesn't feel like a Netflix sort of like diversity checklist. They actually really kind of make it make sense. And I think it's one of the reasons why I love Connor as an assassin so much is that taking the Native American stance in the middle of the fight of independence.
Wow. Thumbs down to that, huh?
Thumbs down to Native Americans.
To Connor. No, to Connor.
First. Dan does not like you. No, but taking the Native American aspect in the middle of the British versus the American for the war for American independence, I was like, wow, what a brilliant idea. And so far what I've seen is taking the culture of the Middle East and specifically in Arabic. And like you said, the same kind of thing with Ghost of Tsushima when they announced that they were doing a full Japanese dub and you can play it with full Japanese native voice acting with like English subtitles. I love when games add that option. So that's really cool. I have issue with gameplay mechanics. I have a huge issue with facial animations. I think that is appalling. And I think that it's kind of crazy that Bethesda is getting shit for Starfield, and I've already made a few clips. This game is the last thing I'll say because, like I said, I'm at completely different side of the spectrum on this game as Dan. But this is actually one of the games that has kind of made me almost want to make another video essay because of how much I'm disappointed with it.
Wow.
So,
see, that's very fascinating because I felt like I was more negative before launch, and then when I played it, I was like, I was pleasantly surprised. Like, not like it's an amazing game, but like
for sure,
like the one thing that sticks out is like the instant assassinate thing, where I thought that was going to be a big deal. Honestly, I haven't really used that feature much at all, and when I do it, it kind of feels more like a mark and execute type of thing, like from Splinter Cell, where I'm just using it when I feel like it, I guess.
Yeah, when you feel you need to. Yeah. No. That's I saw a lot of people get mad about that. To be fair, for the sake of consistency, people also pushed back against that when it was first introduced in Splinter Cell, because for the same reason of like, oh wow, this seems like a catch-all, easy, just eliminate everybody in the room button.
Yeah.
But the reason why I've never focused on that on criticisms either back in the day or now is because that's almost certainly an optional skill in these games. So it's like, okay, if you don't want to do that, don't use it, right? Like it's like, oh, why is there an easy difficulty? Choose the hard one. What do you mean? Like why are you bitching?
Right.
So yeah, I personally didn't have an issue with that. My issue comes down to voice. Specifically, my biggest issues is voice acting and facial animations that I've been having a real issue with. But it is certainly one of the Assassin's Creed games of all time, and I hope that people. Hey, people enjoying it. Absolutely, I love that. Where Dan and I agree is that going back to the old style of games, I think, is a welcome change. So I definitely don't want to knock them for going in this direction. I just think they need to maybe take a couple of leaps instead of a couple of steps.
There we go. We've made it to topic of the show, which is more than kind of one topic, I guess. It's the games industry is in a weird place. / the games industry is weird. / Bobby Kotick got interviewed by James Corden. So for this one, I had a kind of a tough time figuring out a singular topic of the show this week. With Christian not being here, I didn't want him to be left out of a certain conversation. So I grabbed a few headlines that I thought were weird, were sad, and just made me feel like the games industry is in a strange place right about now in 2023. The first one is a weird one, though. Activision hires James Corden for a Bobby Kotick interview, and he goes into detail on Neuralink's AI and Guitar Hero, and it's an interesting one. So I'm going to read it to you guys. Discussing the future, Kotick reportedly said Elon Musk's Neuralink, which is an implantable brain-computer interface, could be the way to create more versatile content than what's currently available. In the future, people might be able to play games without a controller by the way of Neuralink, or an earpiece or a headset of some type, Kotick is reported to have said. He also went on to say, AI and machine learning might play a major role in video games business going forward. Quote, we have characters on the screen and video games with mouth movements and facial animations that is realistic. You're going to have a new dimension of emotion connecting that we haven't mastered yet with AI. Kotick is reported to have also said. But Microsoft, that's true. Microsoft is heavily invested in AI already and plans to use AI for everything it makes going forward. And Kotick said he sees unlimited power, very Star Wars of him, for how games could grow. could grow should Microsoft complete its buyout of Activision Blizzard. Also, during the town hall meeting, Kotick is reportedly to have said Activision's Guitar Hero franchise could have a reemergence in the future, though there are no specific plans just yet. Kotick has been talking for a while about Guitar Hero coming under Microsoft, which is the only good thing he said in this entire interview.
Right.
But I thought this was a weird one. The fact that James Corden was interviewing was also weird.
You lost me at James Corden. When they said that, I was like, cool, I'm not going to watch the long form of this interview. Usually I try to, so I can kind of see if people are misrepresenting in the headlines. But as soon as it was like James Corden Bobby Kotick sits down with James Corden, I was like, wow, that's a double whammy right there. I'm going to steer clear for this.
They have so much money from that Microsoft deal that they're just like, fuck it, let's just get James Corden.
Let's hire the worst British person in the world to sit down with the worst American businessman.
And so you guys aren't down for Neuralink in
I would like to not have to have surgery to play video games, if at all possible. When I can avoid it, I would like to try to avoid surgical incisions, yes.
Yeah, man. That's...
Elon's not going to be happy about.
No, he's not.
Yeah,
that's disappointing.
They already want all of our information as it is. They also want your blood type. They want your actual blood, by injecting you with the fucking AI or whatever the hell. I don't know.
Right. it's crazy to me. Like this is exactly what we talk about, where it's like people who don't know gaming talk about gaming, where it's like there might even be a time without control. Like who wants to play chess without a chessboard or chess pieces? Like at a certain point, we're losing. This is the same issue I had with Elon Musk and Tesla, where it's like you can't say you're driving if you're not like there's a certain point where playing a video game is sitting down and playing a video game. I don't want us to get to the point where you sit down on a couch like Black Mirror and just sort of close your eyes and you're in this, like, no, I want to physically interact with this thing. I want to sit down and play chess with somebody. I want to have a chessboard and chess pieces in front of me. I want to play checkers. I want to have a checkers board. I want to just sit there and close my eyes and imagine I'm doing it.
You can just you'll be in the fucking metaverse. Games.
Yeah, in the metaverse, right? We can talk about fucking doing things and instead of actually doing them. No, this is awful. This is all awful.
Fingers crossed Bobby gets kicked out with the acquisition of Microsoft and will not be seen in the games industry ever again.
Right.
Along with the Unity CEO.
Sure hope so.
They can both live happily ever after on some island somewhere.
Keurig says, what happens when they release the Neuralink Pro or Neuralink Pro Max?
Oh, I don't want to think about it. Something I also don't want to think about is Disney wanting to be a gaming giant by acquiring EA or possibly Ubisoft. New Bloomberg report details many of Disney's internal struggles, which are said to have Iger ruefully joking about his decision to return. Among the ideas reportedly floated among Disney's executive is a bolder transformation from gaming licensee to gaming giant, though an acquisition of acquisition of major publisher like EA Arts. Alternatively, Disney could acquire some of the studios under the newly established EA Entertainment label, which includes BioWare and Respawn. Respawn, it should be mentioned, is a studio responsible for the popular Star Wars licensed game, Star Wars Jedi Survivor. EA appears to be setting itself up for acquisition by splitting up its studios into EA Sports and EA Entertainment divisions and making it easier for a buyer to scoop up one part of its business altogether. Ubisoft is another publisher that has been floated as potential acquisition target. Disney has a long history with games stretching back to the days of Disney Interactive Studios, which was responsible for releasing games such as Disney's Infinity and Epic Mickey. That studio wound up closing in 2016, unfortunately. Iger apparently, for his part, said he's non-committal on the idea of expanding back into gaming space. But we know anything can happen, and it's very scary to think that Disney could own EA and what they might do to... They're kind of starting to get their mojo back, I feel, EA, with like Respawn and stuff, and it kind of scares me that if Disney were to pick them up, that might go away.
Right. It seems like they're just finally on the upswing a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, this makes no sense because fucking 10 years ago, Disney was saying we want out of the video game space and shut down LucasArts because they were making one of the coolest looking Star Wars games in a long time with 1313, and then they shut it down. And I looked up the quote while you were talking. They quoted saying, after evaluating our position in the games market, we've decided to shift LucasArts from an internal development to a licensing model, minimizing the company's risk while achieving a broader portfolio of quality Star Wars games.
Right.
Well, now you're wanting to... we were just kidding there. We want to fucking get...
To be fair, benefit of the doubt, this could be the same C-suite people, like... The people that want it to be games now could have been pushing against that. You know what I mean? Like, who knows who was making those decisions? Like, because I'm sure that when they said they were pulling out of games, there were a lot of people, specifically at LucasArts, but I'm sure there are other people that were like, well, this is probably a bad decision. It might not be a flip-flop case. It might be for Bob Iger, but not for, like, it might be the same people now saying we should get into games that maybe we're telling him not to get out of games then. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Because LucasArts was great, and like obviously separate issues, but actually not because it's related to EA. But like Pandemic, those original Battlefront games were incredible for their times, and I'm pretty sure Battlefront 3 was well underway in development. I don't know if it was close to release, but it was. You can find leaked footage online. That was a thing that was being worked on. So, definitely not without its casualties for stepping back, and now hearing them to go back into it, it's like, well, I'm worried immediately because it's like, who's to say we're not going to get, a couple of releases and then a few more games that look promising and then they just back out again. You know what I mean?
Well,
This is.
And the other problem that we're kind of not talking about also is EA has had the 10-year deal or whatever with Disney for Star Wars specifically. And in that 10 years, we got a couple of Battlefront games, we got a couple of Jedi games, and then like 4 or 5 big Star Wars games canceled. So it's like, I don't know if that's necessarily the best idea, Yeah.
No, it's like this seems like you're almost getting in bed with Google, where it's like, oh, sure, they're making a lot of promises, but they also might axe you at the first sign of trouble. So, I totally agree with that. That's a good point. And actually, if the 10-year time span, I don't even know if I think the first Jedi Survivor maybe just made it in that 10-year window. I think all we got was the 2 Battlefront games, really, if we're really looking at the
true. Yeah.
And both Battlefront 2. Right now, if you were to download and play it, is a fantastic game. Battlefront 2 at launch, no bueno at all. So like, even of those 3 games that launched, maybe one, like Jedi Star Wars Survivor, whatever the fuck it's called, was the only one that received like unanimous critical praise upon launch. So the idea of them going back to being the sole arbiters of this IP, and not just this IP, I mean, this would be Disney in general, right? This would be all these games, is definitely a bit worrying, specifically because Disney would have the oversight, and we're already seeing, like, yes, there are some people that enjoy the Marvel shows, but as a whole, we're already seeing that criticism of like, wow, you guys are pumping out a lot of shows and not all of them are really feeling like they were really well thought out. So now are we going to get that? Except it's not a show that you can tune into. It's now a $79.99 game that are maybe being half baked and rushed out. So all around, this is giving me bad vibes. I'm not a huge fan of this.
Maybe they'll be born again.
Don't even get me fucking
Daredevil
started.
being restarted, I guess.
You're right.
They're not looking super great at it. Okay, well, I don't really care if they get back on track.
Hell yeah.
It's fine. But I do hope these people land on their feet. Over 6,000 jobs were lost this year, it being kind of a record breaker in many aspects. 2023 has been great for games. Like, we've had some really great bangers, some of the best games released this year, but it's also been one of the worst years for games talent and developers and stuff. And the gamesindustry.biz goes into more detail into it. It was always oh, what the heck? I have the wrong code up. 1 second. I apologize.
This has been an excellent year for us.
This has been great.
You're like, wait a minute. Is this the right one?
There we go. I got it here. The reasons 2023 has been such a terrible year for redundancies varies substantially. Speaking to gamesindustry.biz, analysts, recruiters, and investors cited the current economic state of climate as a leading factor, including high interest rates, slowed growth, rising production costs, the increased competition as just some of the reasons why layoffs have become so frequent. Over 80 gaming companies and media sites have been hit with layoffs so far this year. There's a full list down below, but there's some, the most notable ones are, of course, Volition Games with, what was it again?
Saints Row.
Saints Row, yes. I knew it was an S game. Kilo Games, Campfire Cabal, Naughty Dog was a big one as well. Most recently, and Telltale as well. They were hit with some layoffs recently. They did also mention that the games that are currently in development are continuing forward in development, and they haven't been impacted by the layoffs. But of course, those are some jobs lost still. Embracer Group issued the most rounds of layoffs at 7 across its subsidiaries following a reconstructing program with affected studios including Crystal Dynamics, Beamdog, Rainbow Studios, Volition, Gearbox Publishing, and Campfire Cabal. September apparently has been the biggest month for games people being laid off this entire year, and the year isn't over yet, so that could change at any given moment, unfortunately. And I add this because it is a sad situation, but it also, it's like, why? Well, it tells us why with the economy and stuff like that. But it's just so crazy that the industry is doing so well, and at the same time, it's not.
Right.
And people are still losing their jobs, and Epic Games laying off 830 employees as well. So it's really sad to see the industry like this, and it's hopefully it'll get back on its feet when things start to cool down. But I hope the industry also learns from this and doesn't expand too quickly and just has the same problem again in another 10 or so years. But yeah, it's a
Right.
sad
A
state
lot
of
of
affairs
these
right now.
a lot of these studios you're naming, or that have had layoffs, like you said about expanding too quickly. A lot of these companies belong to Embracer Group, which went on this
Yeah.
insane fucking buying spree, right? Almost to the level of Microsoft with this blank check that they've been given for Game Pass. Like they just went on this crazy buying spree, and we were all like, "Whoa, what's going?" I mean, to be fair, we all smelt blood in the water from the get-go. We were like, "Well, this probably isn't sustainable," and now we're seeing that, of course, when you are this mega corporation that has like so many studios that these studios might as well just be individual employees on a spreadsheet. You're going to start looking at the coming in, coming out, and it's going to just boil down to that, regardless of the context of these games in which they were released or the history of these studios and what they're capable of. It doesn't matter. It just comes down to the portfolio and how much money you're making, which is super unfortunate. So that's why I'm wary of all these mega mergers that we're seeing, right? I don't want these studios that have really storied sort of pasts and really great history to just become, something that can be chopped away in a moment because the overlords weren't happy with the financial whatever circumstances that lead them to decide to cut you. So definitely not great.
And because the games industry is doing quote unquote so well with their big hits and bigger games are selling so well, they also have super unrealistic expectations, which allows those people to react so quickly over things that they wouldn't have been in the past. And I understand that prices have gone up and all that stuff, but I think they also need to adjust expectations because of that and not just cut people loose as soon as something goes a little bit left.
I think it's one of those things where I don't know if it'll get solved, but I really think it boils down to a culture issue because so much of the gaming, whether or not the studios are there, it feels like so much of gaming is centered in the United States in terms of just where the money is. And I really feel like we are in this space where for some reason we've all kind of decided and chosen to swallow the idea that companies are not allowed to have bad years. It's crazy that like when record inflation happens and when these recessions happen, we all understand that like us as individuals are going to have to start penny pinching and there's going to be hard times. But it's strange in the last like 20 years it's gotten to the point where somehow we've all decided that it's okay that companies aren't supposed to be put in that position as well. Like, oh, we're having struggles, time to lay off thousands of people. It's like, well, no. Why can't you be in the red for a couple of years, right? Like, I don't think this is anything that's going to change unless we have some sort of culture shift and having a real honest conversation with ourselves about holding these companies accountable. Like, no, sorry that like we're entering a recession and now you're going to start losing money, but like, okay, your shares go down over a couple of years and then you have good years and then you have bad years. But it seems like recently, like companies have all convinced us like, sorry, we're entering a recession. We're going to have to lay off people. It's like, I guess you can say that that's your reasoning. I don't know that tracks though, because for all of us, when a recession happens, we just pay the price of it. But like, I don't know. There was a Square Enix game recently. I remember us talking about. It might have been a few months ago now. It probably was because my memory is awful. So just spin a wheel and throw a dart at it. I don't know how long ago this was. I feel like it was this year. But there was a Square Enix game that launched that hit record numbers, and still, I remember somebody reading off the statement when we were talking about it in the news that it fell short of expectations. And we had this exact same conversation about like, okay, so then the expectations were wrong because this franchise or this studio, it had record numbers of its launch. And then they came out and said, oh, it didn't meet expectations. Okay, so maybe the expectations were wrong.
Final Fantasy,
maybe,
right?
Exactly.
Was that what it was?
Yeah.
It was what, 16? It was the
16.
Right, okay.
Expectations.
Right, and it was like, oh, but was it profitable for the studio? And like I said, I think even that shouldn't matter. I think studios should be allowed to miss every now and again. That's kind of what comes with the territory of art and taking chances and taking risks. But even to that extent, it's like now we're living in an era where a studio can release a critically well-received game that makes record numbers for them, and their company overlords can still be upset with that and say, well, it didn't hit our numbers that we came up with on our own. It's crazy. It's ridiculous. And like I said, until there's a culture shift that I think has to start in the United States, where people start going, actually, you know what? Maybe the bottom dollar for these mega corporations isn't more important than ethical concerns and treating your employees properly. I think until we have that conversation and we start seeing a shift, that this is just going to keep happening, unfortunately, especially in the video game space.
Yeah, I think the other thing to think about as well is, like you were saying, Gage, of all these big corporations scooping up all these littler people, like, you know, Microsoft buying Bethesda, buying Activision, Embracer Group acquiring literally everyone. And like when you do that, you're inflating your numbers so much so that at a certain point when there are layoffs that happen, you're laying off thousands of people. Like, for instance, the Microsoft one is 10,000 people at Microsoft, which is just an astronomical number. But when you acquire all of these studios and assets, that's what's going to happen. And that's unfortunate that it happens like that. And like Embracer Group, for instance, that was, in my opinion, poor management, because they were banking on that $2 billion deal or whatever it was that fell through. And it's like, you can't bank your business on a deal that hasn't been finalized. I do feel for them, and I feel for the CEO. I think he felt very, or, you know, he appeared to be very apologetic, and like he seemed himself distraught when he found out the news, because I think he was live on an interview or something when he found out. And like, yeah, that sucks. But like, also, why did you not plan appropriately and not, you know, put yourself in a position to succeed regardless of the deal, you know?
Right, especially when there's other people's jobs on the line. I think you're totally right, where it's like, he could have had good intentions, but it's almost like your friend who has good intentions who's like, yeah, I'm planning on winning the lottery, it'll all work out. And it's like, well, you can't. I can feel sorry for you when things don't work out. You can still want to do, you know, genuine good things, but that was a bad plan, and somebody should have told you this from the get-go. I think you're totally right.
Yeah. Zach says, hello, fellas. Hello, Zach. Thank you.
Zach attack.
Apparently, I forgot to read this part, but the tracked information includes the estimated number of employees let go, which some companies have not disclosed, so an actual number of jobs lost is likely higher than what is listed here. And I think I already said this, but September was the worst month of layoffs. 17 companies cut jobs this month. Holy moly. But yeah, I completely agree with both of you, especially what Gage says about the cultural shift needing to happen, or else this will just continue.
Right.
Yeah. But fingers crossed it changed, because we all love video games here, and we all want the people who make them to succeed, of course. So yeah, hopefully the big suits at the top get the message someday. But like Gage said, they won't get the message unless there's a change.
Phil. Call Creative Assembly and Halo Wars 3.
Apologize. Call Creative Assembly and apologize. Call and then call everyone who used to work at Lionhead and apologize.
Well, that is it, unless there's something else you guys have.
EA apologize to Visceral.
Apologize to Amy Hennig. Call her up and apologize and say, you can come back. Here's $100 million, no questions asked. That's what I need from EA to make things right.
That's how we begin the healing process.
And then also Titanfall 3. That's also another one.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us live on YouTube and on Twitch, as well as podcast services everywhere like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and not Stitcher. Remove that part a really long time
We're
ago.
not on Stitcher anymore. Do not look for us there. You will not find us.
Thank you, Richard. Oh, thank you, Chris. No!
Thank you to neither of those two people.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Gage. Thank you, Christian. You are out there. Thank you for everyone watching live. Turek, Zach, Glenn, everyone, thank you for watching live. And until next time, later will be greater.
Keep on gaming.
We'll play some Steam Next Best Indies.
Yes. Oh, yeah.